Hello everyone. In this video we are going to look at the Mandleaf periodic table. Now almost during the same time as Lothar Mayer, who has mostly focused on understanding of the similarities in terms of physical properties of the elements by using the Lothar Mayer curve, which is a plot of atomic volume of the elements versus the atomic weight, where he was trying to understand the similarity in the position of an element, and based on that correlating the properties of the respective elements. So the idea of Lothar Mayer curve is that the elements that will have similar positions, right, they would have similar properties. Mendeleev made an attempt in creating a tabular form of representation, so where we could have the elements with similar properties grouped, and that is what we call as the Mendeleev periodic table. And it is at that time it is considered such a successful attempt that he was of course awarded the Nobel Prize for that. But this invention is considered as one of the greatest things that has happened in the field of chemistry. But like things happen in most of the cases, later it is found that the Mendeleev attempt in classifying the elements, right, is still short of the best possible scenario, and we'll talk about it. That is why today we have the modern periodic table. Okay, so let us look at what is it that Mendeleev has done. So Dmitry Mendeleev, right, he has created an exhaustive table with around 63 elements that were available at that point of time, and as newer elements were getting discovered, he kept on adding them by making some adjustments to the table. We'll discuss about that also. So as you can see here, the primitive version of the table, which is written of course in Russian language. So he was able to arrange the elements in the increasing order of the atomic weight. So the Mendeleev table is based on his periodic law, which we call as the Mendeleev law, and it states that the physical and chemical properties of the elements are periodic functions of their atomic weights. And the idea is that when we arrange the elements in the increasing order of the atomic weights, we will see that the physical and chemical properties will be getting repeated periodically. Now the thing about the Mendeleev attempt and the Newland's attempt, because Newland also tried to create a table sort of a thing, but Newland fixed on the period being say 7, which means every 8th element will have same properties as the first element. But the Mendeleev table, right, it didn't focus on what is the period value. So the consideration is that only the properties will be getting repeated periodically. Now from this version, which is like a rough sketch in terms of looking at the elements and the respective atomic weights, because at that point of time the concept of atomic number was not known. In fact, atomic number is the basis for the modern form of the periodic table. So while Mendeleev was creating the table, there was an issue at that point of time, because for good number of elements there were uncertainties in terms of the atomic weights. And today if we hear, it might be looking a little bit surprising, but it used to so happen that in different countries, right, for the same element they would have atomic mass of the element to be taken at different values. And of course each of the place they would have their own error in terms of their estimation and things like that, because the current system that we have, the IUPAC system, was still not established back then. Okay, so with the around 63 odd elements that were available at that point of time, he tried to create the table. And as you can see here, this is the table that he has created, so which has 8 groups starting from 1 to 8, and 7 rows. So the groups, the columns, basically we'll call them as groups, and the rows will be called as the periods. And while he was creating the table, the consideration is that the elements that will be put into one group will have similar properties. Now at that point of time, the understanding of properties of the elements was also limited, in the sense, when we talk about the chemical behavior of the element, the two prominent things that people used to look at is how the element would form oxides, or what form of oxides the element would form, and what form of hydrides. I mean, halides also is there, but mostly they used to be focusing on the oxides and hydrides. I mean, how the element will behave, will react with oxygen, how the element will react with hydrogen. So these were some of the very prominent chemical behavior scenarios that people used to consider. So when he made a criteria that the elements belonging to the same group will have a similar chemical behavior, the concept that he has taken into consideration is the formula of the oxides and hydrides of elements in the same group would look similar. Like if you look at the first group, right, the oxides will be of the form R2O. So if you look at lithium, Li2O, sodium, Na2O. Even copper, right, copper forms Cu2O. If you look at the second group, so beryllium, right, it will form what? BeO. Calcium, it will form CaO. Zinc, it will form ZnO. Similarly, even if you look at the hydrides, like say for example, we look at the sixth group. Sixth group, the hydride formula is what? RH2. Okay, so you see the elements, right, like oxygen. Oxygen will be forming what? H2O. Sulfur will be forming H2S. So the chemical behavior of the elements is mostly attributed to what? It is attributed to the oxide and the hydride formula of the respective elements. Like if you see the first group, right, they'll form oxides of the type R2O. Second group RO. Third group R2O3. Fourth group, it will be what? RO2. Fifth group, it will be R2O5, the highest oxide. Okay. Sixth group, it will be RO3. Seventh group, it will be R2O7. If you look at the hydrides, starting from group 4, they'll form RH4. Group 5 RH3, group 6 RH2, group 7 RH. This is the type of hydrides they will be forming. And while he was arranging the elements, he has to keep this as the prime criteria, that the elements belonging to a group will have similar chemical behavior. Now while he was trying to do this, he found that at some places he had to skip certain positions, like titanium. It comes in the increasing order of atomic weight, it comes after calcium. But titanium does not show similar properties to that of the group 3. It in fact shows similar properties to that of the group 4. Means he had to leave a gap and keep titanium along with the group 4, where its properties will be matching. And his justification is that this element in between the calcium and titanium is actually an element which is yet to be discovered. And he called them as missing elements. He gave his own naming for them. We'll talk about it later. And also he was able to predict, like say for example, calcium is 40 and titanium is 48 atomic weights, and he was able to predict that approximately the atomic weight will be somewhere around 44. So he was able to give what is the approximate atomic weight of that particular element, and also the chemical behavior. So the chemical behavior of the missing element will be similar to that of the group 3 substances. So this has helped people in the discovery of the missing elements, because usually when an element is discovered, most of the elements have been discovered accidentally. But with this information, people would now know exactly what they are looking for. So they know that they are looking for an element with an atomic weight of approximately 44 and properties which are similar to that of the group 3 elements. So this has helped in making the discovery or the attempts to discover elements to speed up. Okay, and here one more thing, because we're talking about the concept of atomic mass, and I'm even using the word atomic weight. See, in physics, right, when you use the word weight and mass, they'll be different, because weight is what? Weight is the gravitational force acting on the object. Mass means it is a fundamental property. But in chemistry, we use these two words interchangeably. Means when we say atomic weight, it also means what? Mass only. Okay, so these two are not different when we are using in the chemistry point of view. That is why we say molecular weight sometimes and molecular mass sometimes. Both are representing the same thing for us. These two are not different. Okay, so you can see here we can have different other missing elements. So we have so many missing elements, and the thing is, some of these elements were discovered later and some were not discovered even today. Okay, so if we look at the Mendeleev table, at that point of time, some very important elements that we talk about today were not yet discovered. Like say the inert gases, right, were not yet discovered. Inert gases were discovered after the initial attempt of the Mendeleev. Now when the inert gases were discovered, right, this table is slightly modified, and later the elements which have almost similar properties to that of lanthanum, and the elements which have almost similar properties to that of actinium, So we'll call them as lanthanoids and actinoids. They were also discovered. Okay, so the table is modified a little bit to accommodate the new elements that have been discovered, and this has made sure that people were accepting the table for quite some period. Okay, so until there were some major drawbacks that were discovered. So if you look at the modified version of the table, right, this is what we have. So after the discovery of the noble gases and rare earths, so rare earth are basically the lanthanoids. So we have elements. We'll talk about them when we go to the modern periodic table also one more time. So the elements starting from cerium to lutetium, there will be 14 elements. In the modern periodic table, right, we'll be calling them as the 4F series. I'm just giving you a quick, intro. We'll talk about it later when we go to the modern periodic table. And the elements, again, 14 elements starting from thorium to lawrencium, we'll call it as the 5F series. In the modern table, right, these are actually called as the F block elements. But here, the discovery of the rare earths has made, along with the noble gases, right, has made some modifications to the table. So the inert gases, they were given a separate group. So previously we have group 1 to 8, and now we have a separate group which is called as the zeroth group. So zero group will have the inert gas elements helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, and then radon. Okay, and the lanthanoids and actinoids, right, they were kept separate from the table. Okay, because this entire series of 14 elements, they'll have similar properties, and actinoids also will have similar properties. Okay, so this is how the table has been modified. Okay, and if you see one thing, the groups other than group 8 and 0, so leaving out the group 8 and 0, we'll see that each of the other groups, right, they are divided into two subgroups, A and B. We can see it, all of them are divided into what? A and B. Okay, now broadly in terms of their oxide chemical formula and hydride chemical formula, they will match. The elements which are in the subgroups A and B, their oxide formula and hydride formula will match, but the rest of the properties will not go along. So subgroup A and subgroup B, right, they will be having different properties. So if you look at, usually one of the subgroup will be the normal elements, and the other subgroup we can see here. Okay, so other subgroup is what? These are the transition elements. So one subgroup will be the normal elements, other will be what? Transition elements. So while they have just one similarity is what? They have similar formula for the oxides and hydrides, but the rest of the properties do not match. So that is one more modification that has been done to the table in order to accommodate the differences, right? Each of the groups other than the 0 and 8th group, the rest of the groups are divided into two subgroups. Okay, and if you look at the 8th group, particularly 8th group, we'll see that there are actually in every period, right, 8th group will have three elements, like 4th period, what are the elements that are there in the 8th group? Iron, cobalt, nickel. Then 5th group, what are the elements? We have ruthenium, rhodium, and then palladium. 6th period, what are we having? Osmium, iridium, and then platinum. So 8th group will have three elements. So each period, right, 8th group is having three elements, and all this is done in order to accommodate the elements having similar properties falling into the same group. Okay, and if you look at starting from the period 4, so period 4, period 5, and period 6, these are called as the long periods. So we'll in fact use the same word when we go to the modern periodic table also. Okay, so the long periods, right, each of these periods are divided into two series. We can see, so this is what the first, we can call it as the 4th period will have two rows. You can see first row, second row. 5th also will have two rows, first row, second row. 6th also will have two rows. So each of these long periods are divided into two series. So these are some of the modifications that have been done to the Mendeleev table. Okay, but while all this is happening, right, there were some fundamental drawbacks that have been identified with the Mendeleev table, and one such thing is with regard to the concept of the isotopes. Because isotopes of an element, right, if you talk about, say for example, the hydrogen has got three isotopes. Okay, protium, deuterium, and then tritium. Isotopes of an element will have similar properties, but what about their atomic mass numbers will be different. Protium, what is the mass number 1? Deuterium, what is the mass number 2? Tritium, what is the mass number 3? And their atomic mass also will be different. So if the atomic mass are different, then the isotopes must be given different places because we are arranging the elements in the increasing order of the atomic mass or atomic weight. But the isotopes were not given different places in the table, because if that is done, then the entire table would have got completely changed. And the reason why he didn't do it is because isotopes of an element, they'll have similar properties. So the isotopes of an element, right, this issue was not being addressed by the Mandeley's attempt. And of course there are some more drawbacks that were there with the table, which we will talk about it. But this attempt has really helped in furthering the understanding of the elements, particularly with regard to things like the discovery of new elements. It has helped in discovery of new elements, and also it has helped in correcting the atomic weights of some of the elements, like based upon the order in which they should come. If some of these atomic weights were wrongly calculated, people were able to rectify those atomic weights, because every measured value will have the error. So even in basic concepts of chemistry chapter, right, we'll talk about it. Whenever we make a measurement, we will have error. And we're talking about the period around late 1890s and so on. So the instruments that were used at that point of time obviously are not as sophisticated as what we have today. So there were some achievements of the Mendeleev table. We'll talk about it. So if you look at the Mendeleev's classification of elements, right? So we have lanthanides, which are also called as the rare earths. So these will be the elements from cerium to lutetium. Okay, so cerium to lutetium, we will call them as what? Rare earths. Why they are called as rare earths is because in most common form they will be present as oxides. So they will be present in the oxide form, and the word earth is basically referred to the fact that they are present in the oxide form. And the rare, contrary to what normally people might think, rare doesn't mean that these are present in any less amount. In fact, these elements, right, they are present in quite abundance. And then we have actinoids. Actinoids are what? The elements from thorium to lawrencium. We have coinage metals. Coinage metals are the metals that are used for the making of the currency coins: copper, gold and silver, the usual metals that are used for making of the currency coins at that point of time. Then we have noble metals, the ones that are low on the reactivity, whether it is the silver, gold, platinum, mercury. Then the element that will come after uranium. So we're talking about the atomic number here. See, even the previous discussion, right? So here cerium to lutetium, the numbers that are represented are what? These are atomic numbers. We have to keep in mind that during the time of Mendeleev table discussion, the concept of atomic numbers was not yet seen the light of the day. But we are looking at these atomic numbers because anyway, next thing is we are going to look at the modern periodic table. That's why we are bringing in the concept of the atomic numbers. Okay, so here the atomic number of uranium is what? 92. So the elements that will come after uranium, we will call them as what? Trans-uranium metals. The elements that will come after uranium, after uranium means after the atomic number of uranium. We can also say after the atomic mass, of uranium, right? So we'll call them as what? Trans-uranium metals. So this is one classification of the elements that has been done based on the Mendeleev table. And the zeroth group is what? Zeroth group is the noble gas elements or the inert gases. And talking about what are the merits of the Mendeleev table. So as we said, the most important merit of the Mendeleev attempt is that it provided an opportunity for the scientific community to have a systematic, structured and easy study of the elements. So the study of elements, right, has become easy. So while we will see that there are drawbacks with the table, it has given an idea that we could have a systematic arrangement of the elements where the elements belonging to a particular group would have similar properties. So this is one of the merits of the Mendeleev table. And the other one that we already talked about is it paved the way for the discovery of new elements. Like he was able to identify what are the missing elements, and he was able to predict what is the approximate atomic weight of these elements, and he even gave a name. Like say for example, the element that will come after boron, he named it as what? Eka boron. So then letters have come from the Sanskrit. Eka aluminum, the one that will come after aluminum. So Eka boron is later discovered to be what? Scandium. Eka aluminum is later discovered to be what? Gallium. Eka silicon is later discovered to be germanium. Eka manganese is later discovered to be technetium. So these, there are more. So what I am presenting to you is a brief list. There are more missing elements that he has proposed, and later some of them were discovered, some of them were not. Okay. So then we have Dwi-tellurium. So means the one that will come after two places. That is polonium. Dwi-cesium, it is what? Francium. Eka tantalum, it is what? Protactinium. So these are some of the examples of the missing elements that he identified, which were later discovered. So even we can expect some questions on this, because if at all we have questions on the Mendeleev table, right, we will have questions on either these missing elements that he was able to predict, or we will have questions on the demerits or the merits of the Mendeleev table, mostly related to the theory part of it. Okay, so this is not just this, there is one more merit of the table, that it has given an opportunity for correcting the atomic weight calculations. So some of the atomic weight values, right, it gave an opportunity for people to correct based upon the order in which the elements must appear. Okay, so these are some of the merits of the Mendeleev table, but we will look at why the Mendeleev table is not used today, because obviously there are drawbacks, and we have got into a, a better basis of the classification, which is what we will see in the case of modern periodic table. But if you look at what are some of the major drawbacks of the Mendeleev table. So one of the major drawback of the table is that in order to place the elements in the respective groups where their properties would match, Mendeleev had to compromise on his own law. What is the Mendeleev law? That we should have the elements arranged in the increasing order of the atomic weights. But he had to wrongly place the elements, means he had to compromise on his own law, because if, say for example, argon atomic weight is 40, potassium it is 39, so he had to keep argon before potassium in order to have argon match with the properties of the zero group. Potassium comes in the first group. But if the rule is followed, potassium must come before argon, right, because potassium atomic weight is less. But if the rule is as it is followed, then it means what? The elements would not be kept in the places where their properties would align. So he had to compromise on his own law. Not only in this case, tellurium and iodine. So the tellurium is what? 127.6. It is kept ahead of iodine. Cobalt 58.9 is kept ahead of nickel. So he had to compromise on his own law in order to make sure that the elements are given the places where their properties would be aligning. So this is one of the major drawbacks of the Mendeleev table. And the second one is, of course, with regard to the isotopes. So isotopes, they were not given any different positions in the table, because if the arrangement of the elements is based upon the increasing order of atomic weight, then isotopes must be given different places. But isotopes of an element were not given different places, and this is an issue that is there with the Mendeleev table. And while we talked about the subgroups, subgroup A and subgroup B, other than the 0 and 8th group, right, all the others are divided into subgroups. The subgroup elements, right, they do not have sufficient similarities. Other than the oxide and hydride formula looking similar, the properties of the subgroup elements were not similar, but still they were kept as a part of the same group. They were not split. So the subgroup elements, other than just the formula similarity, they don't have much in common. So this is another drawback with the Mendeleev table, because we have seen one subgroup is the normal elements, and the other subgroup is what? The transition elements, like scandium, titanium. So the transition elements will have quite different properties from the normal elements, like lithium, sodium. They are also metals, and transition elements are also metals, but the differences will be quite significant. So this is another drawback with the Mendeleev table. And the other one is, of course, with regard to the position of hydrogen. So Mendeleev table, we have seen hydrogen is given a place in the first group, but hydrogen has also got similarities with the 7th group, which is what? Fluorine, chlorine, bromine, because the 7th group, they will form a hydride of the formula RH. Hydrogen also forms same type of hydride, so H. which is HH. Okay, and just like the seventh group elements, they will be existing as the diatomic molecules in the gaseous state, F2, Cl2, etc. Similarly, hydrogen also exists in the gaseous state as diatomic molecule H2. So the hydrogen has similarities between the first group elements as well as the seventh group elements, but it is given a place in the first group. So there was an uncertainty in terms of the place or the position of the hydrogen. Okay, these are the drawbacks of the Mendeleev table, but the prominent drawback is the compromise on the law that is taken, based on which the entire table is created. If the entire table is based upon a law and that itself is compromised, that is the major drawback. And of course the other major one is what? The isotopes, the issue of isotopes, because isotopes, if the law is followed right as it is, then the isotopes should be given positions in the table, but they were not given. So these are some of the drawbacks of the Mendeleev table. So we look at a question. No, so this is what I was talking about. If at all we are having questions on the Mendeleev table, we will have questions like this. So which of the elements is not among the missing elements identified by the Mendeleev? So what are the options given to us? Scandium, polonium, germanium, and then gold. So we have to look at the missing elements, and at least we should remember some of the most common ones. Like if you look at the ones that we have discussed in this session, right? So what we have, Ika-boron is discovered to be scandium. So this is a missing element. Look at what they are asking, which is not among the missing elements. Then polonium. So dwitellurium is what? Polonium. This is also missing element. Germanium. What is germanium? Ika-silicon is germanium. Gold, in fact, was an element that was existing at that point of time. So this is not a missing element given by the Mendeleev table. Okay. So these are the type of questions we can expect. So Mendeleev table, mostly we can expect questions on this missing elements concept or the theory points on the drawbacks of the Mendeleev table or the merits of the Mendeleev table. Okay. So the answer is what? Option D, which is gold. So that is not among the missing elements. So this is in summary of what we need to look at in terms of the Mendeleev periodic table. And considering the drawbacks of the table, people started looking for. So by the time the Mendeleev table is proposed and the people have accepted it, people started using it. It is quite systematic and easy approach in terms of understanding the similarities between the properties of the elements. So people got used to the idea of arranging the elements in the tabular form and looking at the elements belonging to the same group having similar properties. But the key drawback is the basis on which the elements are arranged. Then people started looking for if there can be a better basis on which the elements can be classified, and on that the discovery of the atomic number by a physicist, Henry Moseley, which proved that the properties of the elements are more related to the atomic number than the atomic weights. And later the significance of atomic number is also seen by people in terms of the atomic number being equal to the number of protons, which is equal to number of electrons of the atom. So once the atomic number is discovered and which is taken as the basis for the classification of the elements, the long form of the periodic table or the modern periodic table has been created. So we'll talk about it in the next video.